Hello, and welcome to Life Force Radio. I'm Tessa Fromer, and I'm so happy you're here. In every episode, I'm going to bring you insights into how to live a life that is meaningful, rich, and joyful, and in a way that allows you to be truly steady, present, and mindful throughout it all. Together, we'll tune into many systems of self-discovery, have conversations with people who have really gone the distance, both inside and out. And I know their stories will inspire you to stay on your path and be connected to your own life force. Let's get into today's episode. I have been wanting to record this episode all about my silent meditation retreat for several weeks now, and I've sat down a few times to do it, and it just wasn't the right time. And I've honored that. I've been riding my emotional wave and letting the whole experience just bake into my bones. And I'm here randomly on a Thursday afternoon, so ready to share it. Honey girl just came in the room too. Why don't you get up on the bed? So I have a little company while I tell you all about the very rich, empowering experience I had at Silent Meditation Retreat and how it was vastly different than I ever could have imagined it was going to be, and certainly than I was prepared for it to be. I realized that I really needed to start meditating in order to prepare, because I thought Vipassana, which by the way isn't the style of meditation retreat I was on, was very strict and structured and very, if you're watching on video, I'm like now in meditation pose far away from the microphone. I just thought it was going to be very serious, and that just couldn't be further from the experience that I was actually having. So I want to start by just saying that I had booked this far in advance and was looking forward to it for months and preparing mind, body, and spirit as best as I could for what was ahead. In December, I drew 12 cards, tarot cards, oracle cards from Kim Cran's archetypes for every month of 2026. And my card for January was the heart. If you guys know this Kim Cran's tarot deck, it's the best. She is so incredible. The drawings are beautiful. Everything just has that extra special energy in it. And I drew the heart. And so I wrote this, and I want to read it to you just so you can see kind of the energy that this retreat was primed with without me even knowing. The heart and the start of my 2026. Heart is a place, and you can sense it as such. Your heart is a home, the home in your body. While we wander away from home as a necessity for growth, we are never a true stranger to it. We can reclaim our seat at the table via nature, music, dance, and the presence of children or animals. The most precious throne in the galaxy awaits your return. Okay, so that was the energy that I was planning for this January to have and this retreat to hold. And boy, oh boy, did I get back on that most precious throne, and it changed my life. I also want to read you some of my intentions for this retreat and just drop you into why I was doing it. One of them was to restore, receive, renew, reflect, and refine completely. All of those R words were coming through so strongly. I also wanted to learn how to move very mindfully, slow way down, and touch peace. Like I just wanted to feel it everywhere around me and inside of myself. I really wanted a technology cleanse and a big break from social media and needing to constantly be responding to people. Just putting down technology in general was a huge desire. And I wanted to get some clarity on my business and my future and my career and just see what's really brewing inside of me. And then I wanted to soak up all of the teachings and tools and practices that I was going to learn for life back home. I am the kind of student that when I am receiving, I am also noticing what's effective and what works. And I'm always wanting to bring those most effective, juicy teachings back to my clients. And boy, oh boy, did I get so much insight. Okay, so now I want to start telling you all about what it was like when I arrived. I was so nervous. I was like, I was feeling that kind of shaky, anticipatory anxiousness, like kind of like when you were anxious before a first day of school and you don't know what's ahead of you, but you know, you're really excited for this new grade and you know, you're ready and you know, you're going to have great teachers, but you just really don't know what it's going to be like. That was how I was feeling. And as I arrived, I was just blown away by the beauty of the land and the surrounding areas. It's just covered in these gorgeous rolling green hills. It felt like a mix of lush forests and like deep mossy greens, and then these giant rolling hills with zigzag paths going down them. And I was like, wow, immediately, wherever I can see those people in the distance, I want to go there. I want to experience that while I'm here. And then as I checked in my bag and walked up the path, I saw the first prayer wheel, and I have such a love for prayer wheels because of my time in India. And they have such a special charge, and they represent portals and doorways. So every time you walk by a prayer wheel, you spin it in the direction that you're going. And it just kind of washes you over with all of the wishes that are encoded in that prayer wheel. So prayers, it washes you over in prayers. And then I saw the meditation hall, and I had only seen pictures of it. I had scoured the internet and looked at so many photos of it, and I was just obsessed with it. And it was already set up with everyone's meditation cushions and pillows, and you just got to pick your spot. So I set up in like the second row towards this window and where the sun would shine in, and I had this gorgeous landscape view of nature. And I got to meet my roommate shortly thereafter. We were really well matched. It was just the two of us, same age, first big meditation retreat together. And she was just such a light for me throughout the whole meditation retreat. We just kept each other afloat and uplifted with smiles and, you know, kind connection points while still really keeping to ourselves. Something that I wasn't expecting about the retreat was how the whole place smelled just like other meaningful experiences that I have had, solo journeys, solo adventures. And I had never put those dots together, but essentially the buildings that I was in smelled just like some of the buildings that I was in India, and like some of the camps that I was in Romania when I was 18 and 19, and I was a summer camp counselor for orphans and in the countryside of Romania. And so we were living in similar kind of bunks. And in India, I was also often in bunk rooms. There was this through line of like magic and play and depth and presence that is the through line for all of those smells. And I was just so at peace and aware that I chose to be here in this moment, and I chose to be in this place, and that I'm devoting my time and my resources to have this experience. Same as all the other times that I was connected to that same smell and sense of place. When we first dropped in and met the teachers, I was expecting everything to be so serious. And immediately it was so freaking fun. I mean, when we actually dropped into silence and we stopped speaking for the following week and a half, it was a really easeful descent into that silence. And while we didn't speak collectively, we really tried not to, except for, you know, kitchen talk or pass me this thing or excuse me, which was very minor. But we laughed a lot. The teachers had this lightness, this levity, this hilariousness, and this human quality that was just always on display. And so as there was this kind of building up energy of like, what is this week going to have? I just felt the teachers just make us so relaxed. And one of the biggest teachings that came out from Tuere Sala, I've been listening to her nonstop on Dharma Seed. She's amazing. She was kind of like the head teacher at my retreat. She taught us right away that everyone's minds are in 3 different default settings, and we all have varying amounts of these 3 default settings. The first is aversion, having aversion to somebody, something, a food, an energy, a weather, a wind. And it's when you walk into a room or you're somewhere and you notice everything that's wrong or that could be improved. That's aversion. And then the second is greed. It's when you walk into a room and you desire everything. You want it, you need it, you can't live without it. You're insatiable, you need more. Where's more? What's next? Let's keep going. That's greed. And then the third is doubt. Doubt is when you're feeling confused, foggy, indecisive, unsure. You're filled with insecurity and trepidation, and that kind of keeps you in that more stuck phase of life. So that's doubt. So these three default modes are aversion, greed, and doubt. And we were just meant to be watching those three settings all week as we were moving out of seated meditation into walking meditation, and then free time and hiking and work meditations and stuff. And then we also vowed, we renunciated, which was really meaningful for me, to put down these three mind habits of judging, comparing, and fixing to the best of our abilities. So whenever we would notice ourselves comparing ourselves to our neighbors or wanting to fix something or somebody that wasn't there, we just were allowed to say to ourselves like, oh, not now, I'm not doing that here. And so those teachings dropped us into the space of what was called seclusion. And the magic of being on retreat, and why I really think that everybody should do it, is because the seclusion, and I guess the Buddha, he taught that seclusion is where you are in such peace, such beauty, so connected to nature, and so away from your responsibilities that you can finally really drop into the body and the breath and then observe the mind. And so while we were in seclusion and retreat, the teachers were helping us to see that any thoughts we were having, comparing, judging, fixing, problem solving, were about problems that were not here with us. And so we were working with mindfulness, body awareness, breath awareness, and then thought awareness to track what problems does my mind keep bringing up habitually, and how can I tell my mind, hey, not now. All I'm doing is sitting. All I'm doing is eating. All I'm doing is showering. All I'm doing is washing my hair, taking care of business. And that way, over the retreat, we could actually just be with one singular task. Now, I'm going to just zoom out for a second and tell you that I thought this retreat was going to be so serious and formal. I know I've already said that, but I really did. I thought it was going to be a lot of me, myself, and I. And instead, it was getting poured into and quenched and well and restored, and really practicing and getting to understand the basics of mindfulness, which is where I started on my spiritual journey. And it's where I am again right now because it's so dang effective. And I had wandered around and tried all these different modalities only to end back up here, which is the basics of watching thoughts and body sensations. And so getting the time, space, and seclusion to be with one task only and then watch my mind bring up stuff over and over and over again was so revealing. And I had a lot of fun using my IFS training, my internal family systems training, to have these really cool journeys with my parts. Okay, so parts work or internal family systems is essentially this dialogue with these different parts of yourself. And I could start to see these parts be more clearly displaying their colors while I was just sitting and meditating. I could really recognize like, oh, that's a habit track that just keeps coming up over and over and over again. And one of them was this, who I decided to call Spiritual High Horse Helen. And so Spiritual High Horse Helen is having these profound experiences meditating and having these breakthroughs. And she's also thinking to herself, wow, everybody needs this. If everybody did this, then the world would be a better place. Then this person wouldn't react to me this way, or I wouldn't have this problem with this person, or this would really heal X, Y, and Z. And so as I was working with Spiritual High Horse Helen, I kept telling her like, hey, Helen, simmer down. We're just sitting right now. We don't need to work on anything else. We can just be here. We can just chill. We don't need to think about anybody else while we're here. We don't need to worry about what anybody else is doing. Which is easier said than done. The land at this retreat center was stupendous. Stupendous. I can't even tell you. It was filled with babbling brooks, hidden benches everywhere, the most incredible trails. And it rained a lot of the time, so it was misty and magical, and we were up every morning before sunrise and then able to watch every sunset. And I just took myself on walks and hikes, and I was so empowered and changed by those experiences because I didn't have a clock. I didn't wear a watch, I should say, rather. And I just explored. I just set out on a trail, a different one each day. And I just knew I had a couple hours to just be outside in nature in such lush, green, beautiful, well-loved trees and energy. So I literally received so much love from Mother Earth, from Mama Gaia. And I felt in many ways for the first time in my life that I was really able to receive from Mother Nature. And that I had the capacity and the spaciousness to let her in and to let her work on me and to let her speak to me and me to speak to her. And that connection with nature has stayed with me. I can't wait to be back there and back with those trees. And I also have had a newfound appreciation for Boulder and the bare trees that we have right now and all of the wind. And I don't know. I feel like I appreciate it more, and I'm trying to appreciate things more, not just when they're beautiful and green. Speaking of empowering relationships with trees, there was this beautiful, humongous tree that was outside of the window in the Great Meditation Hall. And one of the practices that we were being taught was to just focus on one of the sense doors every single meditation. So you can focus on breath, you can focus on body sensations, or you could focus on sound. And sound was easiest for me to focus on at first. And then body came more online, and then breath came more online. The thing that made my body come more online, though, like able to hear the gurgles, able to hear my breathing, sense it, feel myself relax, get tense, what's going on in my toes, my hips, my eyes, every itch, etc. And that was really great. But when I watched this tree outside, I could see it rustling in the top left corner. And then a branch down at the bottom would rustle and shake. And then in the middle, there would be this like frenzy inside of it. And a squirrel would leap out. And then I'd see some birds over on the top right. And then I could see the base of it. And I could see it kind of just touching into the grass. And through this observation of this tree, this open-eyed meditation, I started to feel my body like a tree. And I started to notice a little scratch on the top of my head, a little itch on my nose, a desire to pivot my hips in my seat, to wiggle my toes, to scratch my ankle, to hear my stomach gurgle, etc. And I was realizing just how similar me and this tree were. That was a really beautiful moment. We were also working through the 4 Brahma Viharas: Metta, Karuna, Upekkha, and Mudita. And these are the 4 qualities of a heart and quality of a beautiful heart and a beautiful life. And I have my root teacher, Hana Muse, she is a Metta Bhakti love teacher. So Metta is essentially a prayer that you say, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be peaceful, and may you live your life with sweet, sweet ease. And everyone has a different version of that, but that's the one that I've known. And I just was not expecting Metta to be a part of this retreat. So when we started using it, talking about it and chanting it and then meditating with it, I really fell into a groove because I'm right at home in Metta land. But what I wasn't expecting was this astral vision that I had in one meditation, which was I was dropping into Metta and we were doing a benefactor practice, which is when you start to reflect on people who have been benefactors to you, who have loved you, who have seen you, who have supported you. And I had a vision of myself approaching the afterlife or the light at the end of the tunnel. And it was almost kind of like the never-ending story scene where the little boy is like walking towards these lights, but there are these like two giant pharaohs on the left and the right. Instead of it being those kind of statuesque pharaohs, it was all of these benefactors in my life. So my godparents, Jim and Joyce, my parents, Bill and Elaine, my early teachers, peers, so that countless people were there. And as I was walking towards them, they were huge. They were like these huge glowing white pillars. And they were themselves, but they were also passed on. They were like they were like angels. And as I was walking towards the light, I was just looking to the left and looking to the right and just seeing each person. And they were saying, yeah, I loved you. I saw you. Yes, me. I was here to help you. I was put on this path to guide you. I always supported you. And the line was so long, and it was filled with people that I had forgotten about and people whom I had stopped giving credit to for their impact in my life. And it was very, very moving. I just loved that experience. And the special thing about it too was that it was people that I hadn't met also. For example, Ram Dass was there. He is, and the love of my life right now outside of my husband. I love him so much. I could cry. His books, Being Ram Dass, Be Love Now, are just the best books in the whole world. And I just can't get enough of him. So he was there too, and so special. And while I was walking past them, they were all just beaming this light out of their stomachs onto me. And I was just soaking up all of that light and that metta from them and that support. And it was just such a peak experience. Throughout the rest of the day, I took the time to remember all of those people as best as I could and then do a walking meditation with them. I set each person at the end of my walking path and I walked towards them. I said metta to them. I blessed their life. I blessed their existence. I thanked them for helping me, supporting me, loving me. And I brought memories to my heart of them and what they've meant to me. And then I bowed to them. And then I would put somebody else on the other end. That was a very special, meaningful practice that I just wouldn't have had the time to feel that much gratitude for if I hadn't gone on this retreat. Another special part of retreat was that we were there over New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So on New Year's Eve, we had a special schedule posted that included late night snacks after dinner, chanting, and New Year's Eve ceremony. And we all stayed up past midnight and rang in the new year together with a really meaningful ritual. And to bring to that ritual, they asked us to find a piece of nature and invoke what we want to leave behind, and then bring a separate piece of paper written with what we want to bring into 2026. And in order to figure out what I wanted to leave behind and what I wanted to bring forward, I did Elizabeth Gilbert's practice of a letter from love. And if you know Elizabeth Gilbert, she wrote Eat, Pray, Love, and she wrote Committed. And most recently, she wrote All the Way to the River. And she's an incredible teacher of mine too, a student of love and of infinite growth and discovery. And she has this Substack where she posts a letter from love every Sunday, and then she asks another writer to share their letter from love too. So essentially, it's a channeled free writing exercise that I start on my piece of paper, just a blank piece of paper, and I write, "Dear Spirit of Unconditional Love, what would you have me know about fill in the blank?" And so this letter I wrote, "Dear Spirit of Unconditional Love, what would you have me know about 2025? I'm happy to read it to you now. Dear one, you gave the best of your heart and soul to 2025. You backed up every decision with your own chutzpah, your energy. The blueprint that you've been praying for exists in many places and in many ways because you put you into everything you do. I'm so proud of you. This will be a year you'll reflect on for years to come. You made so much happen with so little, and you felt rich because you are. I know you're feeling a bit lousy at the moment because of the dollars and cents, but you had to get here to know for sure just what you're capable of. Running a home, cooking for two, sometimes more, working from home, managing clients in tough moments, and showing up well for others in their big moments, and so much more. You've learned a valuable lesson that you needed to learn. You've been learning about dukkha, or suffering. And while it wasn't overt on the surface, internally you grappled with a great deal, and you did your best to move forward, but you couldn't see an inch from your cell phone. Your phone is your apex predator, and the one that's clung to all your clients too. If you can work on this one thing in 2026, I promise you'll find, create, and have everything you want. But right now, this phone is making you sick. Sick with comparison, judgment, fixing, and stimulation. These are the roots of your fertility and cycle issues. This is your 2025 leave behind and your 2026 aspiration. I'll be right here by your side to help you through these early days and habit changes. I love you dearly. XOXO, your soul. Soul is an acronym for Spirit of Unconditional Love. That was a page and a half that just came through, and every single word on it is so true. My phone became very clear that it was the issue. It's sandwiching, bookending everything that I do, and it's taken me out of this flow. And most importantly, it's upregulating me and making me feel like I'm never doing enough, and I always have something to respond to, and I'm feeling behind constantly. And so since my retreat, I've really reshaped my relationship with this phone. I'm doing what I lovingly call retro mornings, in which I turn my phone off at like 7:30, 8 p.m. And then I leave it off for as long as I cheekily can the following day, meaning it's not just on do not disturb or airplane mode, but it's actually just off and gone for 12, 14, 16 hours. And I like to run errands without it. I like to take Honey to the dog park. I love to cook breakfast for people. I just love to have it off. And it feels so good and different and risky and alive to not have it with me and to have it off entirely. If I do, it's just so cool. And that practice alone has just been reshaping my connection with my apex predator. And then when I do turn it on, I put screen times on everything. So I'm only on Instagram for 35 minutes a day. And in that time, if I want to post, I post, and then I get off and I don't check it anymore. That's been really freeing too. And then I've been embracing what's called asynchronous communication. So I'm not aiming to be live going back and forth with any clients or friends or family anymore. I used to think that was my goal, just to catch everybody the second they send me a message and respond back right away. But instead, I am giving myself time space to not even see what that message said for a few hours, and respond more thoughtfully and mindfully when I feel like I have the space to, and not be constantly behind and needing to be reactive and responsive. And I just don't want to spend my life responding to people on my phone. I want to be in my life, my big, beautiful, meaningful, vast life. And that requires me setting some boundaries with myself. And the truth is that nobody in my life minds that I don't respond right away. Just as I don't mind if they don't respond right away. It was just a pressure that I had on myself that I've been relieving. And in doing so, I've been able to help a lot of my clients in my practice do the same thing. Just set it down more, live in life more, and enjoy what's in front of us more. I mentioned it was raining a lot, and I normally wouldn't go out in the rain. That seems like a silly thing to say, but it's true. If it's not great weather, I typically don't love to be outside. But on retreat, it was a light bulb moment, because I just wanted to be outside anyways. And I didn't care if I didn't have the right rain jacket or the right apparel. I just went anyways. And I had some of the most empowering hikes ever. Set out on this mega trail on New Year's Day, the big boy on campus. And I was just determined to get it done that day. I didn't want to leave the retreat without having done it. And I didn't know what the weather was going to be like, because I didn't have a way to check the weather. So I just went ahead and did it anyways. And I charged up this mountain in this insane rainstorm. And I was in such a dense forest at first that it was really humid and hot. And so I'm taking off all these layers and just getting a little damp. but I also had an umbrella. So when I emerged out into the clearing, I was able to pop open that umbrella and just feel the wind and the rain and just this aliveness coursing through my body, this steadiness, this presence. And in that moment, I realized that I was on the part of the hike that I could always see from down below, and I could occasionally see somebody at the very top of this ridge. And when I arrived on that ridge, this kind of song came through me. And for the last several months, my friend Kylie and I, we've been leading tea ceremonies and song circles. I do the tea, she leads the song. I'm not much of a singer. I'm actually not a singer at all, but I love to sing, even though I've been told my whole life I'm pretty bad at it. And that's okay, because I just don't think that that's what it's about. And so I sing anyways, and I just want to be somebody who gives permission for other people to sing, especially people who can sing. And so this song emerged on the top of this windy ridge as I came out of this very damp forest. And it's this: I'm going to sing it to you. Don't judge me. I know you won't, but maybe you'll catch it as a tune for yourself too. I am right where I wanted to be. I am right where I want to be. I am right where I wanted to be. I am right where I want to be. I am right where I'm meant to be. I am right where I'm meant to be. Something like that. But it hit me that I wanted to be on this retreat for 10 months. I wanted to be on this hike all week. I'm right here on this retreat, on that ridge, and then I'm right where I'm meant to be came through as kind of the third softening line, like, oh, I'm so meant to be here. I'm so meant to be here. I just loved it. I loved that. And then later on that hike, I had this delightful British accent come through. And, I'm just talking to myself on this hike, and I started having tea with all of my parts. These very, aggravated, judgmental, spiritual high horse, negative parts that were emerging. And I was doing this British accent because Hakim Tafari was the Qigong practitioner on our retreat, and he is the fucking greatest ever. His energy is insane. I was so obsessed with him. And he has the best British accent you've ever heard. I mean, it's I can't even do it, but I won't, but it's the one that you want to hear, and that you want your Google to talk to you in it. You want your Siri to speak like he speaks, or him to read you a Harry Potter book. It's just, he's enchanting. So I was taking on this British accent, and I was having tea with all of my parts. And so I invited Helen and Nancy and Debbie and all these parts that I had named to have tea with me. And then I asked them, hey, is some rose tea okay? Is some Earl Grey tea okay? And then, each of them had a different opinion. So Helen's like, oh, I only drink tea ceremony grade Chopuer from 1980 or earlier, which is a part of me. I am like that with tea. And, I bring some chamomile to negative Nancy, and I'm like, how is it? And she's like, it's not hot enough. On and on and on. And so I go through this internal family systems interview process with each of these parts, which is using all the F's: feel, felt, found, feel towards, etc. And then finding a sense of centeredness, connection to self at the end. And through this entry point of tea, I was able to connect with these parts and then establish a healing and bring them back in, and then ask them to kind of set down their causes for the rest of my retreat, to really leave me be, to not bring up things to have problems with or to stress over, or things that I can't control or to complain about, which were just happening inside of me. Even though I was having an incredible time, these voices were still active. So I asked them to set down their roles and work together to be a more systematic, disciplined, devoted thinking system inside of me. And that is serving me to this day, late February, where I just feel like they are on the same team inside of me now. They're not against me or against each other, but rather they see that, yes, we're a spiritual being. Yes, we have incredible pattern recognition and wishes and dreams and desire for things to feel really good. But we don't need to be at war and stressing out the big body, the capital T Tessa, or maybe even the lowercase t Tessa. I had a really funny slip and fall on a rock in the middle of that too, and I totally redislocated my tailbone, and oh, it was so fucking funny. I have a broken tailbone. I've had it for years, and it was rainy, and I stepped on this rock and just went down onto it, and kerplunk, I just felt it right away. And we had just had a teaching a few hours before, and I was just so glad I didn't like break a bone in a major way. It just kind of moved my tailbone into a new position. And one of the teachings was, may your many blessings continue, or may my many blessings continue whenever something goes well or goes better than you thought. So I just literally said like, oh my God, may my many blessings continue. And I kept on the hike and just holding my butt, and it was so funny. And I just went sopping wet to the next meditation after I heard the bells ring through the hills to tell us what time it was. It was just a really special moment. And I hiked very mindfully from there on out. And I borrowed a heating pad from the pharmacy area. And I just kind of hung out on that. And it was just too funny. I also made a lot of progress with some like body focused repetitive behaviors that I've had for years, which include, playing with my hair a lot, or fidgeting with my skin, or feeling like I need to like obsessively finger clean an area. And I just made a lot of progress with that, and just noticed how I didn't feel the need to do that with a regulated nervous system, a regulated body, just a calm body. And so that's my motivation every morning and every night, to read and sit down and meditate and listen to Dharma Seed all day long, is to stay regulated. And that, combined with putting down comparing mind, fixing mind, and judging mind, has really helped me just feel more confident in my body and with myself, and not feel like I need to be so perfect all the time. When we got to talk as a group on the final day, we were so giddy, guys. We were really excited to connect, and very awkward and very raw and emotional. But we did connect. And me and my roommate especially, we gabbed and talked about hilarious moments and stories and our experiences in meditation for a few hours. And I'll never forget what it was like finally getting to debrief on everything that happened with somebody who was there. But when it came time to coming home and traveling home, I was leaving the environment, sitting in the airport, getting to my car, etc. I felt like a nerve ending. I felt so sensitive and raw and quiet and introspective. It was like 20, 30, 40 minutes passed by very quickly, over and over and over again. And so I could just very easily shut down my eyes and meditate again. And never in my life have I felt that way when I'm moving through the public world. And that's just how I felt. So in my Uber to the airport, I just literally closed my eyes and meditated for like so long. And my flight was delayed, and it just didn't bother me, because I was just in this totally stressed out state with whatever was happening. But one of the more meaningful moments was when I did turn on my cell phone and I checked messages. I had 200, almost 300 something messages, which was super overwhelming, but I had this clarity of mind of what I wanted to read and what I wasn't going to read. And so the first person whose messages I opened were my husband's. And I do not have words to tell you how meaningful his messages to me were. He sent me something every single day about his love for me and his support and his imaginings of what I was going through and what he hoped it was for me, and just championing me, as well as really sweet updates about what he was up to. Because throughout my retreat, it was an interesting and first time in my life that I wasn't able to text and report back we've spent a lot of time traveling separately, but there's often been some kind of communication we were able to do. So not having a phone, not receiving any messages from him, kind of at times felt like I had taken the wind. It was taking the wind out of my sails. And I realized that there are times that I look for him or I message him to get his wind in my sails. And so to come back empowered and so supported by my own sails, and then to see all of the love and care and attention that he just put into messaging me and keeping me in the loop, it was very meaningful. He got together with a bunch of friends on New Year's Day and they all sent me a video together, and that was just so special. And just all of the messages from all of my friends and just love and support, just being like, I love you so much. I hope you're having an incredible experience and I can't wait to meet you on the other side. It was really a paramount experience. And then when I came home, my husband we were two ships passing each other in the night. He was leaving to go to Canada on a ski trip. And so he left the car for me. And when I got to the car at the airport, there was flowers in there and notes and snacks. And he said, FaceTime me when you pull into the driveway. So when I pulled into the driveway, I FaceTimed him and we just looked at each other and cried. And it's just like, I don't even really have words yet. But he said, go inside and then take a right. And so I went inside and he had hung up and framed this beautiful Western landscape of all these horses from Mark Maggiore. And it was right above our bed. It was so beautiful. Such beautiful art to take in. More flowers on the table, notes, a brand new fridge of food, all of my favorites and some yummy treats. And then he built me a tea shelf for all of my tea ceremony gear, which is dozens of tiny, randomly shaped, obscure, delicate things, treasures. And he built me a shelf out of what we used to sleep on when his car was outfitted for road tripping. So he reused that wood and built this gorgeous, custom, one-of-a-kind shelf. And he hung that on our walls too. So I just came home to such a fresh place and home and landing experience that was one, I'll cherish it forever. The other thing that he did while I was away was he recorded Life Force radio music. So what you're hearing at the intro and the outro of these episodes, Jake recorded and sent to me to listen to when I got home. And it's perfect. I literally said while looking at this landscape of horses, I have no notes. This is perfect. You totally get me. You totally get Life Force Radio. And of course he does, because he's the fucking best. So I just really had the most wonderful time at my silent meditation retreat. And I couldn't recommend it enough for regulating your body, soaking up teachings that are simple and easy to bring into your life, for having an empowering time, showing yourself that you can do anything and that you can be in your mind, you can be in your body, you're in it already, and also what you are capable of in that relationship, and just the feeling of regulation that's possible from retreat is so worth it. I told you guys on Instagram, but I'm able to eat dairy and gluten again now that my nervous system is regulated. I'm not getting rashes. So that's just been so huge and pivotal. I can't understate it enough. Not to mention just how beautiful the land was and how fun and spiritually quenching it was. I feel like I am so well in my core from retreat. And I do not say this lightly. I think that anybody listening to this could do it, should do it, would benefit tremendously from doing it. And if you have any little whispers around it and you want to talk more, I'm happy to connect with you. But just know that you're capable of so much more than you think you are. And a lot of people have fears around being still and being in their mind. And I just want to tell you, the schedules of these retreats are so balanced between sitting and walking and moving, and you have activities and you have hiking you can do, that it's really such a treat. And it's a relief to put down all of the other extracurricular activities and just be with yourself. Be you for a minute and soak in love, feel gratitude for the people that have loved you into being. I couldn't recommend it enough. All right, that's enough about that. I could talk about this retreat forever. The truth is, it's something so sacred that it deserves its own time space. And so I haven't talked about it too much in order to keep it safe and keep it close to my chest, because I revered my experience. And by the way, I shared with you guys 5% of it. 5%. I have 30 or 40 pages of notes, not even notes, journal entries, memories, experiences, visions, tales, teachings, and they were so fucking spectacular. Thank you so much for listening to my stories. Thank you for your kind attention and your focus as you dropped into this too. I'm here for you guys. I'm here for all you social alchemists on your journey of becoming the people that you're here to be, of living a life that is rich and meaningful and steady and balanced and nutrient dense for your soul. And wherever you are on your journey, know that I'm right there alongside you in it. And there's nothing more important than staying on the path and believing in yourself. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.